My name is Bates. I'm president of a department store in Dallas. What's your business?
Frailey is my name. Folks call me Si. I'll be in Fort Worth next week putting on a better letter clinic.
Never heard of one. What's the racket?
There's no racket in what I do, Mr. Bates. My specialization is important to any man's business, like yours.
Yeah, like how?
Well, I specialize on the how of making letters accomplish 3 vital jobs. Ideas to make sales letters sell, collection letters collect, and all letters win goodwill. That's a letter clinic.
Sounds screwy. You say it takes a week?
5 nights, 2 hours every night.
Why, hell's bells, you must be pretty windy. I've been writing letters all my life, and it wouldn't take me 2 minutes to tell anybody how to write one.
And that's exactly why we have so many poor letters in business, Mr. Bates.
What do you mean? Are you implying that...
Too many businessmen think letters are letters just like pigs are pigs. They don't know how to make them do a good job.
Now, listen to me, my friend. Last year, my business grossed $5 million, and I think...
Yes, and I suppose that in most ways you do a swell job. But your mind isn't closed to progress, or you wouldn't be a good executive, right?
Well, maybe so. And I'll grant you there might be something I don't know about writing letters.
All right, that's fine. Now just relax a few minutes and let me visualize the letter story every man in business needs to know. Have a cigar?
Well, thanks. Now, this had better be good, Frailey, even better than the cigar.
It is. Mr. Bates, you know that the success of your business depends largely on good human relations. That's what business is. A multitude of contacts between the people who work for you and the people you sell and serve. You want all those contacts to be pleasant. That's true, isn't it?
You bet. I'd fire anyone who wasn't nice to a customer.
Then I'm afraid you'll have to fire some of your letter writers.
What's that?
Well, here's an example of what I mean. A customer of one of the big mail-order houses had bought some razor blades, but they were too dull. Maybe his beard was too tough. I wouldn't know. He was disgusted, and he vowed he would never buy again from that company. Of course, he should have returned the blades right away, but he didn't. A lot of folks are like that. They don't mean to chisel or cheat, but they just put things off. Anyway, one day he got a letter from a credit man in the mail-order house. It couldn't have been a friendly letter, because the customer almost blew a gasket. Then he seized a piece of paper and sat down to tell that blankety-blank mail-order house what he thought of their blankety-blank razor blades.
Now, you be careful what you say, Paul.
Well, I ain't said nothing wrong. I reckon that fella won't be sending me any more of his smart collection letters.
Well, what do you say?
I'll read it to you. Dear gentlemen, instead of the check you wanted, I'm returning the razor blades you had the cheek to call sharp. It's only in consideration for the girl that maybe opened your mail that keeps me from telling you where to put 'em.
What do you mean by that, Paul? What difference does the girl make where he puts them?
You know what I mean, darn him. Unless he happens to be a doggone sword swallower.
I suppose every company gets complaints. Sometimes the customer's right and sometimes he isn't, but it never pays to argue with him. The job of the credit man who answered that letter was to make that customer forget his anger, to keep his goodwill.
Sure, send him some more blades.
Well, maybe, if they were sharp. But anyway, write him a friendly letter to make him feel his business was appreciated. You know, make him feel important.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
But this letter fell into the hands of a man not nearly as wise as you are, Mr. Bates. He must have been very young in business, a smart squirt who believed in tit for tat and liked to show his secretary what a clever man he was.
Take a letter to this hillbilly. We'll make it snappy. My time is valuable.
Oh, yes, Mr. Brown.
Dear sir, we received the blades this morning and your insulting letter. Such a letter means nothing to us, as we get lots of them every day worse than yours. How's that for putting the old coot in his place?
It's fine, Mr. Brown. You do write such wonderful letters.
Well, that's my job, you know. Stick around with me, baby, and you'll get someplace in this joint.
How shall I end it? Sincerely yours?
No. Make it cordially yours. Gotta be nice to a customer. Always remember that, honey.
Were those letters real?
They surely were. I got them from the correspondence supervisor of that mail-order house.
Well, I'll be jiggered. You wouldn't catch anybody in my company writing like that to a customer.
How do you know I wouldn't, Mr. Bates? Have you ever checked carbon copies to make sure?
Well, no.
Well, then here's an idea of how you should go about it.
Miss Parker, I want you to do me a favor.
Certainly, Mr. Bates.
All next week, see that our typists make extra copies of all the letters they type. All letters. Do you understand, Miss Parker?
Yes, Mr. Bates.
And one thing more. Make a folder for each dictator and bring me the carbon copies Saturday. And remember, this is confidential.
Yes, sir.
Do you mean I should take time to read a week's correspondence in my company?
Why not? How else can you actually know what kind of letter contacts your employees are making?
Well, I couldn't do it. I'm too busy.
Yes, like many other business executives, you're just too busy to make certain that all letters written in the company are helping to win goodwill. You know, the Supreme Court once defined goodwill. They said,
Goodwill is the disposition of the customer to return to the place where he has been well served.
and Abraham Lincoln must have had the same thought in mind when he said,
A pint of molasses catches more flies than a barrel of vinegar.
in a letter you reach a friendly hand across space, making a personal contact through the medium of your words on your stationery. A letter acts as your personal representative and should talk to the customer or prospect in exactly the same friendly way that you would if you and he were in the same room. So there, Mr. Bates, you have a truth about writing good business letters, a truth so simple that many never learn it. Relax. Be natural. Just talk. Forget you're writing a letter. You see, some men don't talk on paper as they do in everyday conversation. They're stiff. They make a hard job out of an easy one. And actually, good letter writing is just a matter of mental attitude. To successfully bridge the gap that separates him from the recipient, to write a natural, friendly letter, a man must feel right toward his company, his job, and the reader. Then it's easy to just sit back and talk. That reminds me of a conversation I once had with the president of a big corporation. On his office wall was an object that aroused my curiosity. So I asked him, Mr. Rand, would you mind telling the reason for that empty picture frame?
Oh, that is the fellow to whom I write all my important letters.
What? Maybe I'm blind, but I don't see him.
Well, I do. When I dictate a letter, I try to imagine in that frame the face of the man who is going to read what I say. Then I can talk to him easier, friendlier, more compatibly.
Sounds crazy to me.
Okay, Mr. Bates, but I happen to know that that man writes wonderful business letters. Why, you can almost hear him talking. Evidently, the picture frame helps him to visualize his reader, to relax, be natural, and just talk. Always try to see your reader, Mr. Bates. That will help you to make the letter natural and human.
You know, Frailey, you're convincing me that there is more to this letter writing than I ever realized. Like to go into the club car?
Yes, sure. But you haven't heard all the facts yet, Mr. Bates.
Well, I particularly wish we could improve our sales letters. I'm going to talk to our sales manager in the morning. Maybe he needs a little brushing up.
But all letters are sales letters, just as every employee in your company is a member of the sales department. I learned that years ago when working with a big company in St. Louis. We were eating lunch in the cafeteria, and the president of the company popped a question at one of our advertising men.
Mac, how many employees have we?
Oh, about 4,000.
And how many salesmen, Mac?
About 800.
No, Mac, that can't be. If we have 4,000 employees, we have 4,000 salesmen. No matter what job a man may hold with this company, he has contacts with other people. When these contacts are pleasant, they help to build goodwill. Don't you see, Mac, the whole business is the sales department.
Say, I like that. It's a good slogan for my company. The whole business is the sales department.
Sure. And all the folks who work for you can help to win friends. And making friends is selling. It's true for any company. Truck drivers,
Package, Mrs. Jones, from Carter's. A nice day, isn't it?
servicemen,
Don't worry, Mrs. Smith. I'll fix this for you good as new. You have a fine refrigerator here. I'll bet you enjoy it.
the girl at the reception desk.
Mr. Long will be so sorry you had to wait. Have you read the morning paper? And here's a sample of our new breakfast food. It really is very good. You love it.
The girl at the switchboard.
Good morning, Parker Candy Company. No, Mr. Wilcox is out of the city calling on some of our customers in California. Oh, yes, Mr. James Dawson, Evergreen 6727. Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
Clerks, behind the counter.
Isn't this one beautiful? I'm glad you didn't keep the other one. We want you to be satisfied, Miss Richards. No, really, it isn't any trouble.
Elevator operator.
Good night, sir. Watch your step, sir. Thank you.
Factory workers.
Joe, I'll bring you a sample of our new dog food. There's nothing like it to keep a dog in good condition. Say, your bingo will go for it in a big way. It really tops, Joe. I know because I helped to make it.
See, you're dead right, Frailey. Any worker can help to make friends for his company. But we were talking about letters.
And it all ties up. There's no difference between letter contacts and personal contacts. All those employees, the serviceman, the clerk, the girl on the telephones, and all the others were expressing two qualities that should be found in every business letter. First,
They were all smiling.
good. And second,
Well, now, let me see. Second, they all managed to put a sales twist into what they said.
exactly.
From Carter's. A nice day, isn't it?
You have a fine refrigerator here, Mrs. Smith.
It really is very good. You'll love it.
Calling on some of our customers in California.
We always want to be satisfied, Mrs. Richards.
Good night, sir. Thank you.
It's really tops, Joe. I know because I helped to make it.
Now I ask you, is there any reason why those smiling personalities, that willingness to serve, the same sales cooperation, cannot be reflected in a business letter? The only difference is a little space between the man who talks and the man who listens. And that space is traveled by an envelope which carries the words of the one man to the other. It's sort of like this, Mr. Bates. You want to talk to somebody about a business matter, but you can't do it in person, so you step into an envelope. Pretty soon, out you pop, ready to talk just as you would if the other man were in your office. It's as simple as that. Just put yourself into every letter that you write. You know, I'll wager you have a lot of friends. People admire your likable personality. At home, at your office, and at your club, you are probably known as a jolly good fellow.
Well, I'll say that's quite a build-up you're giving me. Doubt if I deserve those compliments.
Oh, yes, I think you do. But here's a question which might not turn out to be so complimentary.
Go ahead, shoot. I can take it.
Okay. When you write a business letter, are you as friendly, as human, as natural as you are at your club, playing golf, or in your office? Or do you become a stiff shirt, cold as an oyster, as formal as the king's butler? You know, Mr. Bates, some men lose all of their real personality when they write business letters. They become creatures with eyes severe and beards of formal cut. They put on long black coats and high silk hats, and they write with all the solemnity of an undertaker about to bury the dead, like this.
Dear Sir, answering your esteemed favor of recent date, which has been duly received and contents noted, would wish to advise that your shipment went forward on the 14th instant. Trusting this reply will come to hand in the near future, we beg to remain yours very truly.
There is nothing warm or human or natural in a letter like that. The writer hides his true personality behind a barrier of old-fashioned expressions. He is like a man who goes fishing for a month and forgets his razor. He is so covered with whiskers that even his own wife would not know him.
You go away or I'll call the police.
Oh, but honey,
How dare you?
honey, don't you know me?
No, I don't know you, and if my husband were here, he'd teach you not to insult a lady.
Letters, too, often have whiskers, and they get the same reception. The reader is repelled. He doesn't feel that a friendly, likable human being is talking to him. And when you put whiskers in your letters, Mr. Bates, who is to blame if the reader slams the door in your face?
Say, I'm beginning to see what you mean, Frailey. You know, my wife swears she'll divorce me if I ever grow a beard.
Dinner now being served, gentlemen. Diner to the rear.
Thanks, Porter.
Whiskers on a letter, huh? How about some examples, Frailey?
Okay, but let's get a bite to eat. We'll talk about those whiskers in the diner.
Fine. I want you to know you've given me some new ideas about business letters. I mean to tell the boys about them as soon as I get back to the office.
Glad to hear that, Mr. Bates. Just say, relax, be natural, visualize your reader, and just talk. Remember that slogan, the whole business is the sales department. And never forget that every letter should contain that spirit of goodwill which helps to increase sales.